Hello Oracles! Well, Tesla stock significantly underperformed the market as this Twitter drama just continues to carry on. So again, lots of news that are coming out about this. We still don't know if Elon has to sell more shares. It looked like this morning that maybe somebody was doing some selling. The only Form 4 filing that I saw tonight was from Zach Kirkhorn, who sold off 3,750 shares. Very small amount for him, so not a big deal there. And so technically Elon would have 2 days before he has to file that Form 4 filing, and those shares would have to be filed from a 10b5-1 from back before September 16th, so that would have been done ahead of time. So again, we won't know for sure, but the stock just did not come back. The market was down significantly early. Tesla followed with it down to the low 230 mark and then ended up rebounding up to where it is now around that $240 mark. But the rest of the market kind of recovered more than that. So Twitter, this overhang is still obviously weighing on the stock. And then after hours, we had gotten news that Apollo had backed out of their financial backing. But as Gary Black had mentioned over on Twitter, Apollo was never actually one of the financial backers that were announced back on May 4th. So the $7.1 billion that Elon had for financial backing is still intact, and there's nobody from that who has backed out at all. So that financial backing is still all there. And while Apollo was not one of the funding backers for Tesla from back on May 4th, they were one of the ones that was going to be supporting Elon with $1 billion for this venture going forward, and they have decided to not continue going forward with that. And as Gary Black clarified over on Twitter as well, that if the banks pull out their $12.5 billion of funding, Elon can pay the $1 billion fee to be able to shut the deal out. He cannot do that if the banks are still supporting him. So if they back out, Elon can do that. And if Elon does that, the stock will jump 5 to 10%. However, judging by the way Elon has been talking lately, does not sound like that is what's going to happen. But if that's the case, this is what could transpire. And Elon, when he sold his shares back in August, said that he sold back then just to make sure that he would have enough money on hand to be able to cover this. Now, based on the numbers that Gary Black has run, still shows that Elon would have about $5 billion that he would need. So who knows if he has other financial backers that are out there. Again, this is something that we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks, most likely, and chances are we may actually have this deal get finalized by the end of the week. And again, I think long term, none of this little financial stuff is going to matter. It's going to be done and over with soon enough. We're going to be able to move on and move forward. So those things are going to be taken care of. The only other piece that's out there is the distraction piece, which people still talk about. And the distraction piece, honestly, Sawyer Merritt had mentioned over on Twitter how everybody said SpaceX is going to be a distraction, Neuralink is going to be a distraction, the Boring Company is going to be a distraction. Have any of these actually been a distraction for Elon along the way? No, they haven't been. Look, Tesla has grown significantly over the last decade, despite the fact that he had all of these other companies as well. All of these things kept on telling people that Elon shouldn't be doing this, and he's done them and has been successful with all of them all along the way. And as far as I'm concerned, I think he's going to be successful with Twitter as well. Do I think he overpaid? I do. I do think, he's human. He probably made a mistake. Obviously, this is why he tried to back out of the deal with all the bots and the other things that were going on, but he's now stuck in a position where okay, he made that mistake. He's going to have to go and buy it for what it is. Let's just pull the string and make it happen. So again, I think that he overpaid for it, but hindsight's 2020. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. So in my view, I've just got to look at, all right, well, I can't change what's about to happen. So all I can do is make the best of it for myself. I can complain all I want. It's not going to get me anywhere. So I'm going to look and say, all right, well, what are the benefits we can get out of this? Well, a lot of the benefits are we are going to get what Elon talks about when it comes to the free speech. We can have an app, an everything app that he wants to have out there. And when it comes to that everything app, think about the fact that over on Twitter right now with the Teslaverse that is over there, we have a lot of people who really drive a lot of our own advertising when it comes to Tesla. If he now expands this out there, we can expand that as well, and he can theoretically have an even wider spread free advertising campaign going for Tesla in the future. And who knows how he can incorporate this into all of the vehicles when it comes to FSD, all the software that's in there. This could actually be an awesome partnership going on with Tesla in the future as well to generate even more revenue for the company. And one of the other things that I noticed when it comes to the distraction comments that I get about Elon and all the companies that he's got and how this is going to distract him even further is a fact that a lot of times people will say these things because they don't think that they can do it. And because they don't think that they can do it, they assume that others can't do it either. And if that were the case, then I don't think Michael Jordan or any basketball players can dunk a basketball because I can't do it. That's the kind of logic and mentality that some people are having when it comes to this. Like, he's already doing it, so why would they think that he can't do this one as well? That's just my take on it. So again, I hate harping on all of this, but this is what is out there right now, and I just wanted to give my insights on this. And again, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. It's going to happen one way or the other. So when I take a look at it myself as what can I do for myself to be able to get through this situation as it is, and what do I think the positives are that are going to come out of it? And I just mentioned those, so let me know in the comments below what you think the positives are that are going to come out of this Twitter deal. And so now when it comes to the entire macro environment, I think a bit of the sell-off that we had this morning is there's still a lot of these recessionary fears that are out there. A lot of the issues that we're getting about, we could be getting into a deeper recession going forward, not sure what's going to happen. And it's going to affect a lot of people's retirements. And someone had mentioned in the comments how bad this is for people in their 401ks, for people who are trying to retire now. And it's something that I haven't mentioned, but it is terrible. Back when we had that COVID crash, it was a very similar time. That was a quicker rebound, so it wasn't as bad. This is long and drawn out right now. So, as much as I do harp on the fact that these are the times that you want to invest, because these are the times where you're going to build your fortunes, and this is where your fortunes are born, people who were looking to retire during these times, this is going to be tough because their pensions are down, their retirements are down, their 401k plans are down. Trying to cash out right now is very difficult. They're going to get very little back because everything is so depressed and everything is so sold off. So anybody out there who is in that situation, let me know in the comments because, it is tough. I understand that it is tough for you guys. I'm not going through it, so I don't know exactly what it's like. It's like me saying that I know what it's like to be pregnant. I don't. I never will. So I don't fully feel what it is, but please share in the comments if you're in that situation, because it must be very difficult for you guys, and who knows how long this is going to be. It could be a year or two, and if you guys were looking to retire around this time, that is tough. So for anyone else who's not, it is a great time to get in, but definitely very difficult time for anybody who is trying to retire during these couple of years. For those people who are not looking to retire, again, these are the times now where your fortunes are going to be born. And this near-term pain is going to lead to long-term gains. And in the type of market that we're in right now, the longer the pain lasts, the bigger the gain is going to be, because we'll have an extended period of time to be able to invest more money during these painful times. This is how it's going to work, and this is how we're going to come out of it. So again, this is why we're talking about share accumulation. The more you have, the more time you have to add more shares, the more shares you're going to have that are going to come out of this. Because the way I look at it is, regardless of how long we are in this pain, I still think the stock is going to at least 10x in the next 10 years. So if that is the case, if we are long and drawn out, and think about it, if you had 10 shares right now and we came out of this and you didn't add any more in the next 10 years, you would have $2,400. But if we have a longer drawn out time period where you can add more shares, and let's say you get yourself to 20 shares, now in 10 years you're going to have $4,800. So just do the math on it yourself, because the longer we stay in this, the longer you'll be able to add more. I don't want us to come down anymore. I mean, quite honestly, I would love us to go to the moon tomorrow. I would love us to take off, go to $400 or $500 tomorrow. But, looking at the fact that, I've got 38 shares and I do want to get a much larger share quantity into my portfolio, the more time we have at these prices, the longer I have to add and be able to accumulate more and build that share count up before we end up taking off. I still do think that we are going to take off and go to the moon. I have no doubt that that is going to happen. So if I can buy more for these prices, then I would be glad to do so. And I know many of you have mentioned the same thing yourself, that you want to accumulate as many as you can. And for those of us who can't add a lot of money into the stock at the moment, having these lower prices is good for us because we can add more. If I had a lot of money and I could just throw, hey, I'm just going to buy 1,000 shares here. That's totally different than somebody who's like, I can only add $25 per day and a little bit extra as we dip. That's where I'm at, and I know many of you guys are in the same place. So these times right now are the best times for us to be able to build up our share count. And I was having a discussion with someone in the comments that, it kind of reminded me of what meal prep is. And for me, I make my meals every single Sunday, and then I put them all into containers and spread them out over the course of the week. And they had mentioned how, trying to have all of this cash on hand and not just spend it all at once is like cooking yourself an awesome meal and not eating all of it in one sitting. And that's exactly what this is like. You can have this cash here, and yeah, I want to dump all in. And some of you guys who are all in 100% into Tesla, that's awesome. You guys have your conviction long term. go for it. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. If that's what you're comfortable with, go and do it. That's awesome. But for me, I'm one of those, I will slowly put my money in. I'm going to have my meals one day at a time. I'm going to let this awesome meal that I have made for myself be spread out over time. And every single day, I will get to enjoy that every single day. That for me is that $25 dollar cost averaging that I do. I'm just adding a little bit every single day. And that is my meal prep. I have meal prepped with my cash on the side, and I just have that one meal every single day, a little at a time. That's it. And so looking at the charts, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, to do our chart chat, to be able to show all of you guys what's going on in the charts. But as of today, it looks like, we've got the RSI dropping down to that 32 level. We did have 86 million shares trading hands. So now that is 3 days in a row that we have had a pretty red day with a high volume coming in. So, even though we had a green day when we had 109 million shares trading hands, we did have a massive pull down at one point when the Twitter deal news came out. So that was a lot of selling pressure on top of that. So just looking at the volume, look at the RSI, I'll share with you guys tomorrow more in the charts. But, talking about the gaps, we talk about gaps regularly. We do have a gap on the upside that goes to $262. Now, a lot of gaps that we've had on the upside have not been filled yet. I will actually dive into those tomorrow with you guys as well to see what other gaps we have above us. So long term, I think these are all going to get filled. So it's not a question of, if, it's just when we're going to fill those gaps. So the next question is when will we fill that $262 gap? So looking at the fact that we've been in this inverse head and shoulders pattern, we may be forming the head right now, and then I think we're going to come up and fill that gap. Not sure when, maybe that's around that Q3 earnings time. Maybe that comes when Elon confirms that he doesn't need to sell any more shares. Maybe that's going to come when we get our credit rating upgrade from the S&P. Who knows when that's going to happen? But these are the little things I'm looking at to see what can trigger that movement to get up and fill that gap above us. So these are what I'm paying attention to. And then on Friday, I am going to be having Vinny back on the channel. So Friday night, we'll be doing a live stream also. Maybe doing a live stream over the weekend with My Tesla Weekend and James Stevenson. Just waiting to hear back from Brian on that one. So lots of awesome live streams coming up. I will be able to share all those with you guys once I get them all finalized. And in other news, Ford is going up 11% on their prices for the Ford F-150 Lightning Pro for 2023 due to ongoing supply chain issues. So Ford having to go up on their prices 11% just to make ends meet. Meanwhile, Tesla has a 30% margin buffer so that they can move prices up and down as they need to be able to meet and control demand. There's a significant difference between these two companies, and one of them is profitable and has to bring prices up in order to just be able to make ends meet, in order to just not be completely negative on these vehicles. Meanwhile, Tesla is going to be getting an extra $7,500 cushion along with all of the other profits that they already have on their company. So if they wanted, they could come down on prices for their vehicles. And now keep in mind, a lot of times when Tesla was going up on their prices over the last couple of years, it's because demand was so high, so they were going up on prices to squash some of that demand, which didn't really work either because demand just continued to go up as they went up on their prices. So there's a significant difference between the reasons why both of these companies have gone up on their pricing. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think it is that is going to trigger this stock to be able to move up and fill that gap at $262? Do you think it's going to be the Twitter overhang coming out and Elon saying that he doesn't need to sell any more shares? Do you think it's going to be Q3 earnings? Do you think it's going to be the credit rating upgrade? Do you think it's going to be something else? Let me know in the comments. And I wanted to take a minute to thank Mark. Over on Twitter, Lee from Tesla Economist and I were discussing how much more FUD we have been noticing lately out there in our comments on Twitter and everything. And Mark coming out just giving us that encouragement to keep on doing what we're doing because we're doing a great job. So Mark, thank you. I truly appreciate that because, we are trying to do our best out here trying to fight this FUD. And, when we get to times like this that are tough, the FUD just comes out even stronger. Tesla Q out in full force. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate the encouragement. And for any of you out there who are dealing with FUD as well, just know that we are here together with you to help support you also. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon. That link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.